Making it last is all I care to do. You loving me, I loving you. Mothers and fathers, husbands and wives.
It's time for another conversation. Welcome to Make It Last podcast, where it's all about helping us to have better relationships, not just with ourselves, with other people. Now, I'm about to have a conversation with a man. His name is Dennis Dowdell. He is a school bus driver turned entrepreneur, and I'm gonna have him add to that before I introduce the topic today. Welcome, Dennis.
Well, what a joy. Great to be here. Thanks for having me.
All right. So tell me a little bit about you're not just quote unquote ordinary entrepreneur. What happened or what has happened?
Well, I tell you, I had been driving a school bus, which, by the way, was a great job. I loved my job, talking with kids and making an influence there as best I could. But when I come up to my 30th birthday, I thought, I better find me a career, and because this isn't going to give me the lifestyle that I want. And two
Okay.
things I wanted. I wanted to be able to make a difference for people, and I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to be able to travel the world. And so I started looking around and stumbled across a little startup company in the nutrition industry. The company was only 4 months old, and but they had a strong mission, a great cause,
Mm-hmm.
and I thought, well, nutrition, lifestyle, nutrition for the mind as well as the body, and so it made sense to me. And so I just got started not knowing anything, no business background, no background in nutrition, but you learn, you just learn to develop. They say first you develop the dream and then the dream develops you. And so, and that's kind of what happened. I just started learning what I needed to learn one step at a time. And it just began to develop. And we went from city to city and then state to state. And then we started going country to country. And I tell you, I couldn't in my wildest imagination have believed that I could have had that kind of lifestyle that has developed over the last 43 years. And it's just been absolutely mind-boggling. And so that's what it is. I developed a huge team of people. There's probably over 250,000 people on my team worldwide in 70 some odd countries. And so it's just been a great joy watching people grow, watching them change. You come back after you've first met them and shared and taught the different principles that I've learned over the years, and just to see the transformations. I mean, there's no greater joy. You accomplish something, that's one thing, but when you see somebody else accomplish something
Yes.
that you taught, it's so much better. So that's kind of, and so here I am today,
Okay. Okay. Which is a nice segue then into what we're going to be talking about, which is what are the top three principles in your eyes for growth and success?
But that's a great question, and I appreciate that, Noreen, because when when people think about the idea of success, generally they think of position,
Mm-hmm.
power, popularity, things, assets, and and they're great to have, and they're very useful, but it really doesn't fulfill your purpose. And so, one of the key things that I've taught over the years is learn your purpose,
Mm.
because your purpose, uh, that's what guides you, that's what directs
Yes.
you, that's what tells you what you do, what you don't do. And the first key thing, and about our purpose, which most people miss, and that's the fact that, and I like to say it, I quote this from Rick Warren, and basically it's not about you. You know, everybody thinks it's about me. Look out for number one, take care of yourself. If it's going to be, it's up to me and all this kind of thing. But the reality is, it's not about us. I believe God has gifted us with gifts and talents and skills and abilities, but they're not for me. All the talents, skills, gifts, and abilities I have, they're for me to be able to serve other people. And that's
I
where
love
the
that.
difference comes.
I
And
love
that's why I
that.
say it's not about me. It's about what I can do for other people. So
Yeah.
that's the first key principle.
Which is so the first key principle is learn your purpose, yes?
Learn your purpose and understand that it's not about
Not
you.
about you. Okay. What's principle number 2?
Well, if you're going to fulfill your purpose, just like when I got started with this new startup company, things have to change. And if things are going to change, you've got to change. Famous personal development guru Jim Rohn said, for things to change, you've got to change.
You've got to
For
change.
things
I
to
like
get better,
that.
you've got to get better. And so when I wrote that down, I took it home and I was like, for things to change, wait a minute, I've got to change? And I kept thinking, why do I have to change? And then I realized, because things don't change. People do.
Mm.
And so once I realized that, and it made all the sense, I don't have control of the circumstances, but I do have control over how I respond to circumstances. So if I'm going to develop my life, if I'm going to become the person necessary to fulfill my purpose, to fulfill my dream, because that's really what it is, I've got to become the person that it takes to make the things I want to happen, happen. And that's why it's more important who you become than what you achieve. Because what you achieve sometimes can be taken away, but who you become can never be taken away from you. And so that's been a key factor for me.
Before you go on to principle number 3, though, but change, it's not so easy for that to happen, though, Dennis. So for somebody who is gonna say, that's a difficult pill to swallow, so to speak. What's your advice?
Well, I just listen. I'll just be real blunt with them. I said, listen. I said, if it was easy, everybody would do it. I mean, listen. There's a reason the top 5% income bracket and quote unquote successful people around the world. There's a reason it's only 5%. Wow. Because there's not that many who want to do the work in order to do it. We've got to be able to pay the price today in order to have the pleasure tomorrow. Most people want the pleasure today and pay the price tomorrow. So listen, it's part of how life is. We were meant to work, and the better we work, the harder we work, and the more we can do for other people, then we will reap the fruit. There's the old plant the seeds. But here's the beauty of it. When you work hard, you plant the seeds. That's easy. But then you've got to nurture it. You've got to work the field. You got to pull the weeds. You got to cultivate the land, and that's hard work. See, but when you do, you don't just reap the seed. You reap the bushels.
Yes.
You reap more than you plant.
Yes.
And that's the beauty of it. And when we can see the reward, okay, that's what really makes a difference. And that's why you've got to begin with purpose. What do I want? And if I want it strong enough, if I want it bad enough, I'll figure it out. I've discovered that. With quarter million people, I've discovered when the why gets strong enough, the how gets easy.
So we've gotten the first 2 principles for growth and success. I know you want to stick around to hear the last one, but we must take a break and get a word from our partners. We'll be right back.
You can't live your best life without a healthy immune system. Boost your immune system the delicious way with Zappy's organic juices and punches. Made from local produce with zero added sugar, our juices cleanse and revitalize your body as they boost your natural immunity. Try our delicious flavors: Beat It, Berry Bomb, Get Fresh, Ton Up, and Island Splash. Find us on Instagram at Zappy's Organics, or call or send a WhatsApp message at 1-876-779-8910 to order today. That's 1-876-779-8910. Zappy's Organic Juices and Punches. Live your best life today.
Is that true?
Langdo Language Institute was created to meet your language and communication needs. All of our packages were created just for you. We are passionate about language and dedicated to your success. We offer the CSEC English program, the Study Buddy program, the Get Ahead with English program, and the Business Communication program. Contact us at 767-285-0938 or email us at langdolanguage@gmail.com. Because the real question is, how can we help you?
Making it last is all I care to do. You loving me, I loving you. Mothers and fathers, husbands and wives, sisters.
Welcome back. Let's continue the conversation. We were learning about the top 3 principles for growth and success.
A mother comes up to the home, and her house is on fire, and everybody's around, and she talks to the maid. I mean, to the gal who's working, who's taking care of her kids. She goes, where are the kids? She says, where are the pets? She says, well, the pet's here, and I got your first daughter, but your other daughter is still in the house. Guess what? Guess where the mom's going?
In the house.
In the house.
That's right.
The perfect love casts out all fear, right? And when the reason is strong enough, you're going to do whatever it takes.
So maybe some of us haven't yet gotten that urge to change because the why isn't strong enough just yet.
I tell you, you want to know when people change? There's the story of the dog that's sitting on the porch, and grandpa's sitting on the porch with him, and the dog keeps going, and it's shaking, stuff like that. And the little grandson comes up and he says, hey, how come Buffy over there is squirming? He says, well, he's laying on a nail. And he said, well, why doesn't he get off? And he says, it doesn't hurt enough.
That's right.
And when the pain of remaining the same becomes greater than the pain necessary to change, only then will you change.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. And what's the final principle?
Final principle is be interested, not interesting. So many times as we're going through our lives and our career and on the social networks and all this kind of stuff, everybody wants to be as interesting as they can. They paint the picture of interesting and incredible and popular and all the stuff, right? They want to do all that. But if you really want to grow, be interested in others more than you're trying to be interesting. And I just say, and I have great experience in that because, if I'm not on a screen, if I'm not on a stage, I'm really a very much of a introvert. And but yet I'm in a people business, so that was kind of ironic.
It is.
And but what I learned is because I don't like to talk unless somebody asks me questions. That's why I'm glad that you had these questions for me. But the thing is I discovered if I could ask a few questions and ask questions about the people that I'm talking to, even if they're a stranger, what I find, people will talk about what they know about. And what they know about better than anything else is themselves. So if I ask them questions about themselves and be truly interested, well, who are you and where you come from and what brought you here and what excites you and what's your dream and what would you like to do and what's on your bucket list, or all these different things. If you talk about them and you're really interested in them, here's what's interesting. You can talk to them for 10, 15 minutes. You walk away and they say, that's the most interesting guy. And I haven't said a thing. I've just asked a few questions, but they think see, when you're interested, you become interesting.
Interesting.
Right. And that's the beauty of it.
Of the 3 of them, though, which would you say is which would you say is the most important of the 3?
Purpose is always the most important, because if you really understand your purpose, if you know who you are, what you're here for, where you're going, the 3 big questions everybody asks, if you really know that, It will guide your life. It will tell you who you spend time with. It will tell you what you read, where you go, what you do. See? Because if it doesn't help you fulfill your purpose, it's just out, even if it's a good thing. People don't realize the good thing can become the enemy of the better thing. And the better is the enemy of the best. So I think that's the key, because when you understand who you are and what you're here for, then you want to do what you're here for. You want to do what you were designed to do. I mean, why would you use a hammer and try to dig a hole? I'd much rather
Yeah.
have a shovel. See, so you want to do what you were designed to do, and that's the beauty. And so I think that's the foundational principle. And I think I'm glad you asked that, because that's very, very important for people to get that first.
Okay. Final question. Well, yeah, final question, and there's probably going to be a follow-up. How did you find your purpose? And how then, are you ensuring that you are living your purpose?
Well, I tell you what, in March 1st, 1970, a friend of mine who was a big man on campus. He was, the super successful. He was not on the varsity football team, but he was the captain of the varsity football team. He was not only in the Key Club, which was the club on campus, but he was president of the Key Club, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he invited me to come to hear this ex-used car salesman talk about the purpose of life and how God fit in. And when I understood who God was and what he did and how I played a part in that and what part he had in mind for me, that answered every question in every area of my life. I was so blown away that it was so clear, it was for the first time I really started reading the Bible, and I didn't realize that it was a manual on life. For me, it's answered every question I've had about every subject, every topic, relationships, business, everything. And I'm just been blown away. And so once I got that, I said, now I know. And so that's been secure. And it covers everything. It covers all the failures. How do you deal with failures? How do you be resilient?
True.
How do you be a leader? How do you deal with your attitude? How do you deal with, who I am? I mean, it tells you everything. And that's what I love. And so that's been my source for me to grasp hold of my purpose. Now, maybe not everybody believes that. That's okay. But but you do have to ask yourself at this stage in your life, who do you perceive God to be? Whoever they are. Some people say, well, I don't believe in God. I said, well, okay. And you perceive God not to be, which means that you're God. You're your own God, because you're the one who determines what's right, what's wrong, and so forth. And so, you're going to determine, who you are and what you do and all that. Well, I'd rather have a little bit of guidance myself. I'm not that smart.
Yeah. You've said a lot, Dennis, and thank you for sharing. But what is the one main idea you want to leave with my audience from this conversation?
Another great question. You're a great host, Maureen. This is wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you.
What I really want I want to leave people with is the fact that it doesn't make any difference who they are, where they've been, what their past is, their education is, their experiences are, good, bad, or otherwise, that today's the first day of the rest of your life. And whatever you do, don't be a prisoner of the past. Don't let the past hold you or grip you. But you can't change the past, right? But you can start today and change the future just by making different decisions, by understanding your purpose, okay? Being willing to make the changes necessary to make that purpose come true, and then learn how to deal with people. And so that's really what it is. We can start right where we are. I started where I was as a school bus driver. And I've had people start coming right straight out of prison. I've had people start as CEOs of companies and all kinds of different backgrounds and stuff. So wherever we are, start, because even CEOs, many of them really don't understand their purpose. But when they do, it changes their life and it changes how they run their businesses. So I think that's it. Let's go. Everybody can if everybody will.
Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank
This
you.
was This was Making It Last podcast, where it's all about helping us to have better relationships, not just with ourselves, with other people. I'm Noreen Daly. Until next time.
Making it last is all I care to do. You loving me, I loving you. Mothers and fathers, husbands and wives, sisters